Hello, good afternoon to everyone. So this will be the first of the two presentations I'll be posting. It's about statistics and probability. Okay, this is Math 9, but we are only going to tackle the introduction or the important parts or the basic parts of statistics. Now, I would like to thank Engineer Michelle Subiate for the helping me for the slides in the presentation. The late, great instructor, Ma'am Michelle Subiate, who just died 2 years ago, one of our best instructors in the university. Okay, so now I'll be starting with definitions and some problem solving, some problems so that we are going to solve today. Okay, so first and foremost, what is statistics? Okay, now, statistics is a way of getting information from data. Okay, so from your data, what are data? Okay, sorry, what is data? Okay, there's no such thing as data term. So data are facts, especially numerical facts, collected together for reference or information. Okay, so data are facts, especially numerical. Okay, now from these facts, this data, you're going to use statistics to get the information you need. So after using statistics, you can have your information. And this information is basically knowledge, communicated learning concerning some particular facts. Okay? So I think siguro sa inyo meron naman yung mga kumukuha ng mga surveys, let's say sa City Hall or sa Capitol regarding the population, okay, the age of the people inside or living in your home. They're using that for data. That's numerical data. Ilan ba tao dito? Kaya bang support ng let's say, yung mga parents nyo, yung mga bata, ganon. So, nag-aral ba sila, ganon. So, with this data, the government can get the information they need and solve problems which needed to be solved. Okay? So, statistic is a tool for creating new understanding from data. Okay? Now, example, a BSIT student is anxious about her statistics course. Since he or she heard the course is difficult, the professor provides the previous semester's grade to the student. What can be discerned from this list of numbers? So sabi, a student daw was anxious kasi mahirap daw yung statistics, which is not actually true. So, gusto niya malaman kung mahirap ba talaga. So, he asked the professor to give him the record of the previous grades of the students who took up the subject. So, let's say, ito yung binigay niya, the data given, yung mga grades nila. So, from this data, he can study it using statistics and get the information he wants. So, meaning, if sakaling marami naman ang pumasa, so that means the subject's not that difficult. But if maraming bumagsak or parang average lang, maybe the subject is quite difficult or it is very difficult. So from this data, from the grades he acquired from the professor, he can study it using statistics and get the information he wants regarding the subject, if it is difficult or maybe moderate or just easy. Okay? Now, there are two ways to do statistics. Okay? Descriptive statistics are method of organizing, summarizing, and presenting data in a convenient and informative way. Okay? These methods include graphical summaries and numerical techniques. So, I think you've seen this. Okay, this is the pie graph. 50%, the 60% ito, bumagsak is 25%, and so on. So, without those numerals, you can just do a pie graph, okay? Or the bar, this one, and then the graphical method. Okay, so that is descriptive. So, the data given can be described using these graphs. Okay, they are summaries and numerical techniques. Okay, next is the inferential statistics. Okay, our method used to make conclusions. Okay, very important, to make conclusions or inferences concerning some unknown aspect of a population on data from a sample. Okay, so meaning there's a difference between a population and a sample. Statistical inference is the process of making an estimate, a prediction, or decision about the population based on a sample. Okay, so with this, you can predict or you can estimate and make a decision regarding a certain population due to the sample you have collected, or the data from the sample you have collected. Okay. So here's the diagram. So population, in a population, okay, is a collection of all possible individuals. So lahat, pag sinabing population, lahat, okay? Individuals, objects of or measurements of interest, okay? A parameter is a numerical measurement describing some characteristics of a population. So, okay? So parameter is for population. Okay, so I repeat, a population is a whole. Lahat dapat nandun sa population. Okay? So, all possible individuals or objects na nandoon, they are in a population. Okay, now, a sample is a portion or part of the population of interest. Okay? A statistical is a numerical measurement describing some characteristics of a sample. Okay, so you get a sample from the population, and then from that sample, you get your statistical study, okay, or numerical measurement describing some characteristics of the sample. Okay, so below, a census, okay, I think you know this, no? May nagsisensus sa atin naman. I think it's every year, okay? We collect data from the entire population. So a census is for the entire population. Now this, kind of remember this one. Parameter is for population, while statistics is for a sample. A sample is only part of the population. So from the statistics study of the sample, you get your inference statistics, which you can give a prediction regarding the whole population. Okay, so we continue. So these are the two branches, descriptive and inferential. Okay, so meaning in descriptive, you collect data, you process data, and you transform data into information. Now, in this descriptive statistics, this is for population, meaning dapat lahat. Okay. Now, for inferential, only a sample of the whole population. Okay. Provides the basis for predictions, forecasts, and estimates. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay. Okay, I'll pass this for a while, this slide for a while. I'll be going back to that. Okay, so estimation, okay? Estimation of the population mean weight using the sample mean weight. Okay, then hypothesis testing. Test the claim that the population mean weight is 120 pounds. Okay, now, when we say population, dapat lahat. Okay. Now, when you get a sample, you should have at least 30% of the population. So, meaning, kung 100 yung mga nandoon lahat, let's say, all students of BSN 1B. So, lahat ng mga estudyante doon is 100 lahat sila. Okay. Wala namang specify, boy or girl, no? So, 100 sila. Now, when you get a sample, it should be 30% of that 100. So, that is 30 persons dapat. So, below that, it's not actually considered as a sample. Okay. Now, hindi mo na kailangan, kunwari, pinag-usapan natin dito is yung weight daw is 120 pounds. Okay, yun ang mean weight nila. Okay. Now, lahat ng 100 na yun, hindi mo na kailangan na i-weigh silang lahat. So, you get only a sample, 30% of that 100. So, yung 30% no, ng 100, which is 30, yun lang ang weigh mo. Now, if, let's say, from that 30, 15 are 120 or ganun-ganun sila. So you get the mean. So you can say from that 30 that 50% of that 100 has a weight of 120 or has an average weight of 120. I repeat. So kung ilan man sila ng population, you should get at least 30% kung ilan man sila para maging sample mo. And from that sample, you study it using statistics, getting data from those sample in the population. Okay. So, inference is the process of drawing conclusions and making decisions about a population based on sample results. Okay, so isa pang example before I discuss the decision making. Isa pang example is, let's say, sa isang barangay, okay, so there's certain epidemic, pwedeng isang epidemic, let's say there are around 300 ang nakatira, population is around 300. So, hindi mo naman lahat yung mga yun, kailangan mo silang i-test. So, you should get only 30% of that, which is around 90 persons, and then those 90 persons, you would test them. If, let's say, 70 of that 90, so that's above 60%, ay meron silang ganon, may na silang symptoms or whatnot. So, ibig sabihin nun, you can predict that the whole 300 persons has this percentage of being, let's say, mahahawa sila, or the sickness can be contagious to this number of persons in that certain population. Okay. Now, what is decision-making process? Now, you can use this, I think this is Math 9, no? It's actually in your third year in other courses, since when you would defend your thesis, you should have a statistical study regarding your thesis. Limbawa, let's begin here, no? Identify the problem. Now, you have, I think I'm talking to around 4 courses, okay? Nursing, architecture, criminology, fine arts. No, five, and arts and engineering. Okay, so identify the problem. When you create a title for your thesis or your study, ano ba yung problema? Now, pertaining sa course mo dapat yung problem. Ano bang gagawin mo dun sa gagawin mong study? Okay, so let's say, sa architecture lang tayo. Okay, so but can be applicable that all of you could understand. Okay, sa criminology lang tayo. Okay, so this is basically sa environment. Okay, so let's say sa isang community, what is the problem? Okay, so at least kahit iba-iba yung course nyo, I think you can relate to this. Let's say there are a lot of robberies, okay, at night. That's why most houses, okay, are losing or are being robbed. So yun yung problema. You identify the problem. Okay, so that's the problem. Now, upon getting the problem, anong problema, before you decide anong gagawin mo, you should follow this decision-making process. Okay? So from that problem, maraming robbery nangyari, nagnanakaw, ninanakawan paggabi. Okay? So you get the data. Okay? So from that environment, from that community, saan ba dito, kunwari, ang ilan na bang nanakawan? Okay? So ganun na yun. So yung dito ilan sila nakawan, let's say nakatira doon mayroong mga 200 na houses, 200 households. So ito yung dami na nakawan. Okay? And then, yung location do sa community, let's say the community is around 10 square or 2 square miles na lang, 2 square miles yung lugar, yung subdivision or community. Saan ba banda palagi? Okay, so that's the data. Okay, so meron ka na. And ano ba yung mga ninanakaw? Parang ganun. So, kunwari, it's just money, not appliances, parang ganun. So, data pa rin yun. So, from that data you have collected, you identified the problem. So, you get the data. Okay, from that data, you get the information you need from that data. Okay, so from that data, saan ba banda yung nakawan? Okay, anong time normally nangyayari yung nakawan? Okay, so kung may rounds ba ang mga barangay securities natin, pagdatas nila, doon pa lang yung nakawan. So, ganun. So, from that information, you can gain knowledge regarding that. Okay, may kaalaman ka na. From you get data, and then from that information, you acquire knowledge. Okay. So, alam mo na to. Yan, you can decide now. You can decide. So, nandito sila, no? From data, using descriptive statistics, ibig sabihin nito, from that data, gamitin mo descriptive. Using numerical, probability, using your computers, you input your data. Okay. Then you get your information. From this information, you can use statistics. Okay. Your experience. Okay, let's say, ganito, may experience ka sa ganyan, if ever you're in the field na. And then, anong theory? Ano ba theory mo? Ganitong time, ganitong lugar, ganito. Okay, and so on. So, meron ka ng theory. And then, using that, you can may computers, no, since ito coin data, and you can do simulations, and you can do simulations regarding that, okay? You can do simulations regarding that, okay? So, using the computer. So, from that, you can make your decision. Okay, kung ano ba ang gagawin mo regarding the problem from where you started. Okay, now from this data, I think you know that you have the right decision. You made the right decision because you have gathered data, you got the information you need, you got the knowledge, and of course you studied the information given for you to come up with a decision that you want. Okay, so this is the decision-making process. Okay, next, population and samples. Okay, so here are the definitions. I think I discussed it now before, but population is a collection of all items. I repeat, all items of interest under investigation. The capital letter N is used to signify population. So capital letter N is signified by the capital letter N for population. Okay. Now, a sample is observed subset of population. So meaning, from the midterms, I think you know what subset is. It is within the population. So nakapaloob yung sample mo sa population. Okay. Represented by the small letter n. Okay, so that is the representation of a sample. Okay, now, a parameter is a specific characteristic of population. So balik tayo sa dati. Parameter is for population, while statistics is for sample. Okay, so hindi pwedeng statistics ng population. No, it's a parameter of a population and statistical study of a sample. Okay, so I think we're clear on that. Kahit kayo na una-una pang slide. Okay, now, population versus sample. So let's see. Let's say population is all the letters of the alphabet. Okay, so values calculated using population data are called parameters. Okay, so ito yung population mo, lahat yan. Now, ito yung values computed from your data. Okay, now, ilan ba yung letters ng alphabet? Try to see. So, dapat, ang sample mo should be 30% of the total population. So, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so what is 30% of 26 times 3? 26 times. So it should be at least 8. 8. Dapat from that 26 population, mga letters ng alphabet, 30% at least should be 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 ang sample niya. It is considered a sample. It's more than 30%. So I repeat, it should be at least more than that 10%. It's not really considered a sample. Okay, so ito yung population mo, taking this one as a sample. Okay, so paano ba kuha ng sample? Okay, now ito muna, may examples muna. What are examples of population? Let's say names of all registered voters in the Philippines. So that is a population. Lahat, I mean all of them. Okay, income of all families living in Tarlac province. Okay, so it is still a population because we're talking all the families living in the Tarlac province. Okay, annual return of all stocks traded to the Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay, annual returns of all stocks. Okay, and finally, grade point average of all the students in TSU. Okay, so I mean, ano ba yung pinaka-average ng lahat ng mga estudyante ng university natin? Pinaka-average niya. Okay, so these are examples of population. Okay, now here's how to get a random sample. Paano kuha ng sample? Okay, una, each member of the population is chosen strictly by chance. Walang namimili. Okay, let's say I'm the instructor. I would want to get the average or yes, average of the whole students taking up my subject, okay, Math 1F. So all in all, I think 100. Okay, so hindi ako pwedeng pumili. Let's say I would be graded on how I teach. Ano ba yung grade ng mga bata? Kung mataas ang grade nila, I mean, naintindihan nila. Okay, so I would pick yung mga mataas ang grade and I would present it sa university. Magaling ako magturo kasi yung mga estudyante ko, matataas ang mga grades nila. Okay, no. So, hindi pwedeng ganon. So, it should be strictly by chance. So, random pick. Kung sino man ang mabunot, yun random. Hindi ka namili. Okay. Tapos, each member of the population is equally likely to be chosen. So, walang pinipili. Hindi ko mo ito matangkad siya. Siya yung napili sa sampling. Ito medyo gwapo siya. Ito maganda siya. Siya yung nakuha sa sampling. Hindi ganun. So, equally ang pagpipili. Okay. Like I said, it is by chance. So, may possibility na makuha. Okay. Every possible sample of n objects or sample objects is equally likely to be chosen. So, kahit sino pwede mamili. I repeat, as I have 600 students, sample, no? Now, I will be graded. I-grade nila ako kung magaling ako magturo. Now, magaling ka magturo kung yung mga estudyante mo naintindihan nila. Kaya yung mga grades nila ay matataas. Okay, now, pipili ka dapat ng 30% dun sa 600. Okay, so that is around 180 students ang pipiliin mo. So, hindi ako pwedeng pumili ng top 10 dun sa klase ng mga score. Yun ang purpose. No. Kahit na yung isang section, walang napili, basta dun 600 na yon, let's say yung 180 nakuha lang sa tatlong courses. Yung dalawang course, walang napili. Walang problema yun as long as they're all taking up that subject. You're concerned with that subject. So, hindi ka pwedeng mamili. So, kung nabunod nila, mababa ang grade, mataas ang grade, so you get the average. Ganun yun. Okay, hindi pwedeng pipili ka lang. So, that is random sampling. Bawal mamili. It is strictly by chance. Okay. Scientific summation notation. Now, your calculator has this symbol of sigma. That's why We are in need of the calculator in solving para hindi matagal. Okay? So, by the way, I'm not through with trigonometry. I just jumped to this topic since easier to understand. I want to discuss yung second part ng trigonometry na online teaching para kung may questions regarding sa computation and the solution, masagot ko siya. Unlike this part, this statistics part, it's not actually that difficult to understand compared dun sa trigonometry na may problem solving, baka malito yung mga iba. So, I jumped muna to this topic and then when we meet, doon ako sa problem solving ng trigonometry ulit. Okay. So, let's start with the scientific notations or summation notations. So, sigma, okay, capital letter siya, no? There's small letter sigma, okay, indicates a sum and is referred as a notation operation. Okay, so it is the summation. It is a summation operation. Okay. I refers to as the index of the summation or summation variable. Okay. X sub I, the nth term of the sum, and 1 to n. 1 is the lower limit, and n, kung ilan man yon, is the upper limit. So, yung variable yung n, di ba? So, it is the upper limit of the notation, respectively. So, let's say, paano ba nagagamit ang mga yan? Okay? Kaya ganito siya. Ganito yung kanyang formation. Okay? So, n is the stopping point, upper limit of the notation. Okay? Of course, your summation sign, sigma. And then, typical element. X sub I, ano man ang element na pinag-aral natin? Ano ba yung topic na di-discuss natin? So, ano may sample na pinag-aral natin? Ito yung X mo, variable. Okay? Now, I is the index of the notation. And 1 is the starting point. So, you start always with 1. And then, you end with n. Kung ano man yung n na yan. Let's say, you end with 10, you end with 5, you end with 4. So, n varies kung saan ka titigil. Okay? So, let's try to solve an example. Okay? So, dito, the summation of the sum of two or more variables is the sum of their notation. So, these are the properties. Okay? These are the rules. So, if summation of I from 1 to n, meron kang tatlong variables. So, you just distribute the summation sign. Okay? Distribute mo lang siya. So, summation of x sub I, the summation of y sub I, and the summation of z sub I. So, kung iba-iba yung variables mo, just add them. And okay, now, these formulas. Okay? Second is, if it is a constant. Okay, let's say constant siya. Cx sub I. Okay, now, in this case, pag let's say 2x. Okay, 2x. Ito. Ang constant mo is yung numerical. Yung 2 mo is lalabas dun sa scientific notation. Meaning, hindi na siya kasali dun sa formula. Okay? Ang sa summation mo lang is yung nasa variable x, not na yung constant. Okay. Then, if c is a constant, ganito na lang. Wala siyang kasamang variable. Kung c lang siya. So, it will become nc. Okay, kung ano man yung number na yon multiplied by the constant. Okay. Now, in this case, example number 1, you are given x sub 1 is 3, x sub 2 is 5, x sub 3 is 7. Let's say your x series variables. Let's say scores on the first quiz. Okay, so your first variable, one student got a grade of 3, the other got a grade of 5, the other got a grade of 7. So kung 10 sila, you only get 3, that's 30%. So meaning, ito yung kanyang formula. Okay, so summation of x sub I, index mo, okay? So index mo is 1, and then ending mo is 3. So 1, 2, 3. Tatlo dapat sila magkakasama. Now, if it's 1 to 2, meaning hindi kasali itong x sub 3, hindi kasali yung 7. Kasi nakalagay lang is 1 to 2. As you can see the cursor, it's 1 to 2. Kung 1 to 2 yan, so 3 and 5 lang. Hindi kasali yung 7 kasi 1 to 2 lang ang sinosolve mo or ang ginagawa mo ng summation. Okay, but in this problem, it is 1 to 3. So, yung tatlong yan, x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3, kasali lahat yan. Okay, so meaning, summation of x sub I is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 plus x sub 3. Tatlo sila. That is 1 to 3. Kaya ang values niya ay x sub 1 is 3, x sub 2 is 5, x sub 3 is 7. So, 3 plus 5 plus 7. So, meaning, the summation of x sub I from 1 to 3 is equal to 15. Okay, so that's it. number 1. Okay, example number 2. Okay. So in this case, meron tayong constant. Okay. So may x sub 1 ka, x sub 2, and x sub 3. So 3, 5, 7 pa rin. You are asked to find the summation of 2 multiplied by x sub I squared, okay, from 1 to 3. I repeat, the summation of 2 multiplied by x sub I squared from 1 to 3. Okay, now, I'll show you the formula again. 2 here is constant. So, hindi siya kasali. So, parang doon sa second formula, I would go back. Yon. Ito yung x mo. Yung c mo is constant. Numerical siya. Lalabas siya sa summation. Hindi siya kasali na i-add. Ayun, nakalabas siya. So, in this example, as you can see, tayo doon sa summation. Okay. So, ang kasali lang yung x variables lang. So, x sub 1, x 2, and x sub 3. Naka-square sila, kaya 3 yun. X sub 1 is 3. 5 is 5 squared, and 7, ayun, x sub 3 mo is 7 squared. So, ito lang yung naka-square and naka-summation. Pag nakuha mo ng answer, doon mo pa lang multiply yung constant mo na 2, which 3 ang total na mga to. 3 squared is 9, 5 squared is 25, 7 squared is 49. So, you add them, you get 83, multiplied by the constant now. So, that constant is equal to 166. Okay. Now, I think dun muna tayo. Example 3 and 4 is I think I would like to solve them online. Medyo mas mahaba sila ng konti so that everyone can understand. So, try to understand muna your example number 1 and example number 2 and kindly remember these formulas. Okay? So, if it is variables, different variables, you just distribute the summation sign. And if you have a constant, lalabas yung constant kung may variable. If there are no variables, yung constant mo will just be multiplied by the value of n here, the upper limit, okay? So, this, I think I'll end here in example 2. This will be part 1 of the 2-part statistics presentation, okay? My next presentation will in mode and median. I think you're familiar with that, but I will be discussing it in my presentation tomorrow. And other problems, longer problems, I will be solving them when we are online so that I can explain them clearly. Okay, so I think that is all. Kindly watch the video. If you have comments, kindly just put it in the comment box below. Okay, so I think that's all for this presentation. Keep safe and good afternoon again.